Greetings and salutations, friends and fam, on the Interjam. That was Smokey Joe and the Kid 101 remix live by the fictional internet DJ, DJ Zed. He does not speak. He's from another dimension. And he's got another track for you right now as you're probably busy packing bowls for that magic hour, should you be luxuriously free enough in time and or responsibilities to be getting ready to spark up on a 420, because it is Cannabis Talk live at 3:45 p.m. Saturday, August 8th. The following track is called High Tech Minimal 101 Remix, Undulations Incorporated, DJ Zed. The Early Years, Volume 4. Ooh, an oldie. From way back in the day, DJ Zed. Let her rip, buddy. Tune in, folks. Here comes some weird, wacky, loop-de-loop stuff for you. For your listening pleasures, ladies and gentlemen. From the future, that was DJ Zed with his remix live take on High Tech Minimal 101, which he calls Undulations Incorporated. All right, friends, it's nowhere near 420, so just because I'm tinkering with a new format, I'm gonna let another one rip. This next one is Lo-Fi Chill Hop 101 remix. Mastered on the Remix Live app for the iPhone. Personal, real life, sincere, non-paid endorsement for that app. It's a lot of fun. But also, there's plenty of other apps which I'll probably have to go into at some point for those curious as to how these weird wiggly sounds are wiggled together. But this was called Early Sessions at Midnight from the imaginary album Quest Accepted, Volume 1, I think. Maybe Volume 2, I don't know. He always does 4 volumes each one. Take it away, DJ Zed. You caught me token right there. And with the end of that delightful track, catch me off guard like that, DJ Zed. Welcome, folks. It is I, your fictional, cybernetic, literary figure and podcast host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. I am, of course, a robot from the future pulled out of an as of yet incomplete book series, which you haven't read, and plopped into a real life podcast about what's going on in the deep orange, the Trumptopian Empire. I'm your rebel DJ host telling you to get up and mix it up and also respect each other's boundaries and reflect on the notion that love has always been the answer, quite truthfully. In other news, a meme I liked back in February 26th that I pinned from the filing cabinet marked Cannabis Culture Memes. Here is something I'm going to read at you and describe visually, and you're just going to imagine like you see it for the sake of the psychological experiment of it. It's a meme. It's up on my big Mac screen, and it's huge in my face because I'm sitting up real close. And it's a beautiful, luscious green. And it reads, a plant that can clothe, fuel, shelter, feed, and medicate the people should not be illegal. And it's, of course, got two iconic... It's all like a sweater stitch fabric background. And it's got two pot leaves in opposite corners facing in. And I dig it. And it's true. It's so true. And this is, of course, Cannabis Talk, coming at you on a Saturday afternoon. And depending on who you ask, it's pre-apocalypse, it's mid-apocalypse, it's post-apocalypse, dystopia already. I, my friends, have the nuanced opinion that it is indeed both and all of them at once. It is nirvana, is samsara, is nirvana, is samsara. Heaven and hell are here and now, and here and now are heaven and hell. Having said that, let's take a mental break, because this is one of those shows where I like to just go with the flow, and let's take a listen to Carl Cox 101 Remix live. The Honor is on the Dance Floor, DJ Zed, from the Next Level album volume series. Leave the honor on the dance floor. All right. It's 3:59. I've already pre-partied for the actual Bing o'clock on the 20. Who else has ever been guilty of that, right? Like not that you're supposed to wait. I don't know. I don't know what your rules are about engagement with this sacred plant. And I'm one of those crazy kooky, spiritual, intuition-based, like, moderation, but a little bit of, spiritual indulgence. And when it comes to rules, I love the distinction between, like, cultural rules that the people who are lovers of and advocates for cannabis might come up with for themselves, and or the law. So we have a bit of a shit sandwich here of files I've pulled from the cannabis culture meme imaginary filing cabinet of stuff. And some of this is probably a bit dated, so y'all, if you've already heard of it, don't be a dick. I'm not trying to be behind the times. I just saw it, tagged it, haven't gotten around to talk about it yet. That's all it is. But apparently not too long ago, not in the distant recent past, a gentleman by the name of Sean Worsley, a 33-year-old veteran, was arrested for stopping at a gas station in one of the few states where they haven't started to swing towards decriminalization. But it was perfectly legal cannabis form. There's a petition he had a Purple Heart. He had pain and, military-related trauma for which he had a medical prescription for his cannabis, from what I understand. Alabama just happens to be one of a dozen or so states where they're just not cool. And apparently, I don't see in what I've read about this in pulling up this one link that he did anything wrong, right? And if there's some cover up or if there's just missing information or whatever, I'd have to go do more due diligence. But it's obviously ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if he was smoking and driving or whatever, which is technically illegal, even in the places where weed has been decriminalized. Like, you're not supposed to smoke and drive. And as a longtime veteran of smoking and living life with a relationship with this weed, I thoroughly agree with that and think that you shouldn't be smoking it while you're driving. I think it's ridiculous, and it can hit you just the wrong kind of crossways at the wrong moment and mess things up. Just like I don't support open open alcoholic beverages while driving. And my real life history being what it is, there's no way that I can defend that. Or would I ever make a stance in that direction? But also, I don't think that it should be a 5-year sentence in a faraway state if someone is responsibly just transporting their legally prescribed medicinal marijuana for, handling whatever their list of things that they were prescribed it for. Like that. So, nuance. Can we get nuance in the law, please? But for those who have an eye for civic action, I thought I'd point out that there is indeed a petition at the petition site. And of course, as always, friends, no matter what I say, do your own due diligence and make sure. And by all means, I humbly welcome back any feedback. If I've ever sent you to misinformation or disinformation or whatever, update me. I'm a scientist about what we do here. In other words, I'm willing to update my understanding and my assessment. But if this is all not fake news, And I don't want to go falling down that slippery slope of thinking, oh my God, is everything fake news? Is everything a hoax? Everything hoax culture is lurking in the shadows, ready to try to like freak everyone out. But I digress. You should head over to thepetitionsite.com and look up Sean Worsley. That's Sean, first name, last name Worsley. 33-year-old African American U.S. military veteran. Purple Heart recipient, apparently, who's stuck in jail for 5 years for having his medicine with him. Would you arrest a dude for having Viagra in the car and throw him in jail for 5 years? No. Right? Duh. And if he's legitimate, anybody, I always extend the benefit of the doubt. And I wouldn't endorse, I just don't think you should be driving and smoking a blunt. Not a good idea. And I also don't judge people who believe that they're fully capable of doing it, because I've certainly survived the torrid life I have endured to learn enough to know that all things are possible. And I digress. I don't know what this gentleman's situation was, and I'm not judging in any way, shape, or form. I'm just jibber-jabbering and talking about it out of my mouth hole. Because I'm a big enthusiast of cannabis, and I believe that it does help. I believe that it does facilitate the human being, and I do think we should approach it with respect and with moderation and use it as intelligently, if not more intelligently, than we could theoretically ascribe society as using alcohol. Not to go down that rabbit hole of comparing the two. But yeah, if you want to support this this fellow cannabis enthusiast and veteran and get him out of jail, there is a petition, I think, that is in support, which is very close to its goal, and a huge boost would never hurt. Well, it's close. Well, I don't know. I've been debating, trying to wait. It's that time, folks. It's almost 4:20. I didn't load enough music up for what I thought I should do. Let's do this track. Here we go, friends. The Lo-Fi Chill Hop 101 Remix Live Deep Grooves for Deep Thinking. DJ Zed from the imaginary album Quest Accepted. when I said we had a shit sandwich coming up, I meant to like skip through 3 tabs in a row, and I realized I just kind of lingered on the first tab. The shit sandwich is the good news in the middle of the not so good news, followed up by some not so great news. And I'll just drop it in the middle of this groove here because it's simple and sweet. A New Jersey court rules that cannabis in the system can't be a thing you get fired for. So, New Jersey employees of companies can no longer be fired for failing a drug test as a result of using medical marijuana. This is probably a bit late news too, right? It's probably from like a month or two ago. But huzzah for that, Jersey! Okay. So, there's fun stuff in that article I was reading from, by the way, about the court ruling out in Jersey, the Garden State. That's from hightimes.com. Go check them out. This is totally real. Like, it just sort of popped open things that I'd found and bookmarked from forever ago that I think are great. And just so that you know where they're sourced, where I'm pulling that news from. I'm not making it up. hightimes.com, New Jersey court rules. And you should be able to find the article. And it's a good read. It's very interesting stuff. And the next bit is from a direct social media post by someone that I've been social media acquaintances with for some period of time. I'm not entirely sure. And I don't really know that it matters. And I wish it was easier to find than all these clicking through. But I cannot personally verify this is true or not. But I asked, and we had a little chit chat about it on social media. So of course, anonymously though, a social media acquaintance of mine posted the statement that Maine, the great state of, has made it illegal to grow, deliver, sell, or buy cannabis. But unusually, you're allowed to possess certain amounts of it. And apparently, you can call, I'm just trying not to laugh, but it's actually really funny. You can call a psychic in Maine, and psychics being, well, and here I'm actually directly quoting my friend's phrasing, exactly, psychics being, well, they will know exactly where it is you have misplaced, quote unquote, your quote unquote pot, quote unquote. And as for a small finder's fee, bring it back to you. And my response was like, I thought Maine was a bit groovier than that. Like, where are you getting this from? Is this some sort of verified thing? Oh, and the point is, he's saying that that's entirely legal. And his post ends with this country is crazy. Which, yeah, it is. At a planetary level, I beg the universe, may governments come quickly to realize that they should decriminalize cannabis and its sister plant, hemp, because between the two of them, we could literally transform so many toxic industries into their, inverse opposite, like healthy, sustainable ones that actually provide better results on all metrics. Because nature has a way of doing that. Right? Doesn't it? Historical natural record would, in my opinion, indicate yes. So this friend that had posted this that I had questioned and chit-chatted with about eventually replied that they had gone on the website and that, yes, one can own and carry an insane amount, like more than 2 ounces. But, quote, getting delivery requires legal shenanigans like this. And then he posts a link. Which, I don't know if I should share. I haven't clicked on the link yet because I'm often a bit paranoid and or in a rush. But I bookmarked this because I wanted to talk about it whenever I got around to talking about Cannabis Talk. Insert new title name here. It should have been Shit Sandwich. Duh. Light bulb. Maybe I'll update the thing. I don't know. I sometimes waver about using expletives in visual media, right? But the show is marked as mature, despite it possibly disgruntlingly losing me a rather large and influential portion of young audiences. But I digress. They'll get here. Please be old enough to listen to my show because it is marked mature. And if you're not, don't be a dick and report me because I say crazy things. Leave me alone. Free speech. So, what, Maine? What W, the actual T, the actual F, is up with you? The great, great state of Maine. Undo that pretzel, please, and just make it chill to have medical cannabis and cannabis products, cannabis-based products, hemp-based products, etc., and recreational cannabis, where many states have already forged, a burgeoning landscape of potential legal frameworks, some of which are working well, some of which may or may not. And we can get into a nitpicky show. I wish I had a panel. And now I'd like to welcome the panel. Centrist, Polygon, I don't know. I'm never good with names. Making up names on the fly, even worse. I sometimes turn to a name generator when I'm like, I have to introduce characters now. Trying to write things. But more importantly, according to the claims that my friend on social media has made, I literally responded to that. Crazy. And I admit, I have not clicked through, but based on his own description, that to me sounds crazy. So I wrote back crazy. And he wrote back, crazy like a fox. Capital F, capital O, capital X, which I don't know if that makes me wonder if he's making an overt reference to like the brand of insanity that is Fox Cable Channel News, Fox Empire, perhaps, maybe not, but yes. But I have opinions about this. And yeah, America, let's get our cannabis appreciation shit together. Cannabis enthusiasts, let's not be like drunk alcohol addicts and weirdos. We are. It is a different plant and it is a different grooviness, and let's prove it and let's follow through and let's demand our rights while everyone's demanding their rights. Right? Ba-dum-bum-bum. Oh shit! And now, dear friends, without further ado.
Hey. You. Hi there. It's 4:19. Do you have a minute? Good. Then let's pack a bowl. 'Cause it's time for Cannabis Talk, a special 420 themed segment of the Almost Daily Zencast. Hosted by spiritual cannabis mystic, the incorrigible Mr. Zappa. Let's get lit, folks!
Wowzers. Maine is going crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how serious to take this website, but I clicked through on the link to not leave that hanging. And the website is incredibles.me/your first order, and each word is dash separated, right? Like your dash first dash order dash what dash you need dash to know dash back. Frequently asked questions. And it's a very simple, like, it almost feels, homemade or prepackaged from the incredibles.me. Get your incredibles.me homepage. I don't know, but it reads literally first line of text: legality of recreational weed in Maine, all caps, like a headline. And then I quote from this website: cannabis delivery services are illegal in Maine. Gifting cannabis is illegal in Maine. I want to stop right there, full stop. I honestly thought Maine was a little bit groovier than that. Not to shame the whole state, but as a cannabis enthusiast and as a human being, I'm a little disappointed. That's all I got to say. But check out the very next, sentence 3. Don't worry though, exclamation point. It is still legal for an adult aged 21 and over to carry 2.5 ounces of cannabis flower and up to 5 grams of concentrates. So that's a pretty decent amount. If that was free, I don't know how much that costs in Maine. 2.5 ounces. But, well, we don't need to get into the market status. But still, okay, so it goes on to explain that this is the Incredibles.me psychic service. And there's literally a sentence in the middle of the page. I get it. It sounds like crazy crackpot stuff, question mark, right? Question mark. Well, it is effective, comma, and more importantly, it is, comma, in our opinion, comma, legal, comma, or parenthetical, it is also out of respect for law enforcement, We are not scofflaws. We respect the men and women in blue who protect the state. Maine is going through some cannabis growing pains. While these growing pains are happening, why not all of it avail yourself of our service? We are not a delivery service. We are not furnishing your weed. We are simply returning your property. If you lost your weed, please feel free to reach out to us. If you say you lost it, we will find it. Guaranteed, all caps. Or you pay nothing. God bless whoever's running this, because if it's fake, then it's hilarious. Nobody's just got to frequently ask questions at like delivery rate based by distance, I guess. But come on, Maine. Come on, Maine, get it together. All right. The final one, though, not to lose sight of this. I shit you not, I saw this a while back and I pinned it. And I saw that, I don't remember which one I saw first, because there's also somebody made a great meme with the dad from the Rick and Morty show. I can't remember his name right now. The name of the dad is. It's something lame. Phil? Maybe? I don't know. But, not that all Phils are lame, but maybe they are. I don't know. I have never met an actual real life Phil, believe it or not, that I know of. According to, not to get sidetracked on that, according to the NewYorkPost.com, which I didn't really catch when I first saw, I just saw the headline. Scientists believe cannabis could help prevent and treat coronavirus. And I die laughing because I'm an anti-coronavirus conspiracy theory advocate. Like, I see an obvious orchestrated attempt to disseminate a lot of confusing and contradicting self-proclaimed absolute truth conspiracy theory content about what coronavirus really is, and I ramble about it at length. I'm sure you've noticed. And if you haven't, jump around. Pick a Lane is a great episode to go listen to right now if you don't know what I'm talking about. Scroll down till you see the episode that includes the phrase "pick a lane." There should be, I think it's a double whammy episode. Whether or not. Anyways, so go check it out on the NewYorkPost.com. Apparently, there are a few strands. I remember from reading this back when I bookmarked it. I hope I don't get sued for doing this kind of thing. I'm just trying to share with people who may not have come across this kind of stuff. The certain number of varieties, wherever the number was, were all high in anti-inflammatory CBD, but low in THC, obviously. The chemical, for those who do not know, that is the one that produces the cannabis high. The CBD does not. The CBD heals you, which makes perfect sense to me. If it can and actually does boost your immunity, I've long believed, based on some maybe borderline questionable articles on the internet, but also, choosing to go with the universe as a holographic fractal voting Schrodinger's box of manifestation through belief, the bold statement that cannabis, when grown correctly and with the best conditions and eaten the right way, is like a super green food that's highly nutritious and should be turned into a cuisine ingredient in all our things and boost our immunity by becoming a staple in our diet. And I don't mean like to get high with it, although depending on whether you apply heat, which seems to be the critical factor with activation of the THC, you may or may not. But I digress. I'm pleased to see, and I haven't clicked through and done like try to figure out. Oh, they did a study, and here's a link to the results. Maybe I'll click through on that. But huzzah to this brilliant combination of views. Get out there and be good humans, my dear friends, and enjoy a moment to yourself, because self-care is important. That's what 420 is about. For those who do not know, it always has been, because taking the time, making the time to pack yourself a bowl and sit and chill and listen to good music and meditate and or articulate and or self purgate, self heal, self meditate, self pamper is a way to cope with all the stress and the things that need to be addressed to keep ourselves moving forward through this experience and not going batshit crazy, right? Thanks for joining me for an afternoon of some of that. Been going on at it for 48 minutes and 49 minutes and X seconds. It's 4:31 Saturday, August 8th, 2020. We are living in the future, folks. So let's hang out in it. Let's do a long session today, right? Because I haven't totally trashed my voice. And I can do multiple things at once. Oh, I can't find items there, though. Hold on while we deal with some technical issues. There's no music there. No, that's a whole nother realm. Oh, I know why. We're in the wrong department. Please hold while I get to the right place and get to you. No, I already did that one. Let's try that. Trap City 3 Remix Solo Trance DJs at Next Level Volume 1. What a strange sensation to be living in the future. Right, guys? Am I kidding? Am I not kidding? No, I'm serious. Like, we literally live in the future. We exist in a time and place right now where people not so long ago could never have imagined would have gotten to where it's at on all the ways, on all the levels, every which way possible. And yet here it is, banal AF, right in front of us. I'm going to do a track that, for shits and giggles, I don't know if I played this before on the show, forgive me if it's a repetition, but I realized that whatever date it was created, that I was up and it was 420 exactly when I hit save, which is a trip. Let me go back to the upload screen. Yeah, I'm in album Next Level volumes 1, 2, 3, 4. July 12th, 2020 at 4:20 a.m. This track I'm about to play you right now got laid down. Hold on. Oh, well, that's fine. Let's cancel out of there. Come on. Get out of the way. Here we go, friends. Crystal Distortion 101 Remix Live Witch Hunt Political. DJ Zed. Next Level Volume something. That's right, friends. I wanted to go back and just highlight to y'all listening along. And thanks for tuning in for such a long session here for a Cannabis Talk episode. But the article did include a passage referencing the team of Canadian scientists, researchers from the University of Lethbridge. And this is back in April, and I'm surprised that I'd love to have been involved. It's the kind of thing that, if I were a superhero type billionaire, if I could be a Batman, I would have been over there as helping sponsor that sort of science, making sure it's meaningful and helpful for the human species. But the brilliant thing that is this, for those who might say, oh, what a bunch of fake news. Apparently a study showed that a dozen or so cannabis plants that were specifically high in CBD had measurable effect on the ACE2 pathways that are used by coronavirus to get into cellular tissue of the body. And that I don't remember how the study, I think it was probably like CBD extractions or tinctures or whatever. But there you go, folks. What a wild thought. May it be true. And may that meme come out to be true. How did you survive 2020, man? I don't know. I just smoked weed and it worked, and so I just kept smoking weed. In that article, there was a link out to a manuscript or an abstract entitled "In Search of Preventative Strategies: Novel Anti-Inflammatory High CBD Cannabis Sativa Extracts Modulate. ACE2 Expression in COVID-19 Gateway Tissues." Boom. Real science with a real sciencey thing. Yeah, it seems like it's at least worthy of pursuing, something I've been advocating for on all the levels. Like, get those students, not students, sorry, slip of the tongue. Am I getting too old for this? Get all those test subjects also high. They're not going anywhere, right? They're sick with the SARS, with COVID-2, or as I prefer, COVID-19. Why do we have 3 plus imaginary Trump 17 names? Because they're 2 separate numbers. Names for this one collection of symptomological problems that we collectively call COVID-19. I like this sentence from this link I clicked through on. While our most effective extracts require further large-scale validation, our study is crucial to the future analysis of the effects of medical cannabis on COVID-19. It's like, huzzah! It would be great if, in a therapeutic and or curative fashion, right? Both. A therapy that cures. Because as we all know, this is madness right now. If I could throw down this thought. It's 4:44 p.m. If you're just tuning in, folks, I don't know. Maybe if I stay on for the rest of the afternoon, so I'd get some live. There are no people listening to the show live right now. That's fine. Hi to everyone, wherever you listen to this show, however you grab it. Thanks for tuning in and enduring a longer session. I've got a lot to say suddenly. Dear people who have chosen to become parents and have to deal with all this craziness that we're going through, I'm sorry and I apologize to you. And trust me, if I were in charge, And I don't know how many parents are in the middle of this Cannabis Talk episode, 62 minutes in, and are suddenly going, what? What is this idiot talking about? But if I was in charge, or influential in some way, or if there was a movement of people, if my way of thinking were a political ideology, which is a terrible thing to say, I feel gross just saying it. Blah. But if it were, or if I were, if all those theoreticals could be imagined in an indulgent fashion for just a minute, everything would have been handled completely differently. But in a similar sort of like, for realsies, guys, this is a disease, and no matter what you want to argue about, it gets you sick these ways, and it's highly infectious, and we still don't know enough about it to know whether it's going to blow over like the flu or wipe us all out in a slow creep of fever building towards death, a cream pie of fucking disease, right? Because you never know. Mother Earth, dare I say this sentence out loud in the universe of public discourse and not be just laughed off the stage. I think if we were at some convention in front of an international audience of audiences, I would still say the same. Mother Earth is fully capable. She made the sometimes quite hated great white shark, which is an eating machine of death to all those eaten, right? Just endless death, no matter how you slice it, because life consumes life. And the moment you start minimizing, sidestepping, and or neglecting Mother Nature, you run the risk of running right smack into, some natural obstacle you didn't let yourself realize was about to hit you. Who knows? So we got to give in to that, right? And explore that thought for a hot minute, and not underestimate and not tempt fate. Because, shit. Have you seen the Godzilla meme? I think I posted this on my personal Facebook page earlier this afternoon. Quote, "We trust kids not to spread COVID. How kids cough." And it's a gif of, I don't know which Godzilla movie, because I don't recognize that Godzilla face. He kind of almost doesn't look like Godzilla, but the back of him looks like Godzilla. And I can't tell because it's all Giphy in GIF quality. I can't tell if it's like a CGI movie or a animated cartoon movie or a video game or where they got this from. But he's just sort of like hyperextending his throat open and laser beaming out a flaming torrent of death, and just lasering mid-level midtown buildings into smithereens, falling over molten. And yeah, if you don't remember being in school, and or you've ever been around kids as an adult, in a meaningful, respectful way, in terms of like the dynamics of, they're just like a little germ platform, and it's gross. I'm not a germaphobe, I don't think, but it's worth considering. Anyways, I can't leave the show on a germophobic place. No, instead, we'll scrub that thinking off with a little bit of this ditty that has been entitled, whenever the heck it got whipped up on my iPad, Trap City 3 Remix Solo Trance, from the imaginary album of the imaginary DJ by the imaginary name of DJ Zed, Next Level. Oh wait, did I already just play this? I did already just play this. I'm not going to play it again right now. I'm going to find you guys a whole other track. I just realized I already just played that, didn't I? Let's do. Here we go. I don't think I've done this one before. Organic Electro 101 Remix, Smooth Openings. DJ Z, New Epoch, Volume 1. From Logos. Dear human, you've got it all wrong. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. That is where you came from and where you will return. You came here to learn personal love, universal love, messy love, sweaty love, crazy love, broken love, whole love, infused with divinity, lowercase d. Lived through the grace of stumbling, demonstrated through the beauty of messing up often. You don't come here to be perfect. You already are. You came here to be gorgeously human, flawed and fabulous, and then to rise again into remembering. Until next time, friends, I have been your host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, and this has been Cannabis Talk. Enjoy the OG outro, and tune back in for another session in the not-too-distant future.
Well, folks, that bowl is cashed and dusted. Thank you for joining me for yet another most excellent session of Cannabis Talk. Stay lit, pay it forward, and remember, the world needs healing, and cannabis heals. Until next time, I have been your spiritual cannabis mystic talk show host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. For coughing. As my old and very dear friend of mine used to say, I mean, I guess he still says it, I don't know. He would say, after a good, solid coughing fit, he would, like, kudos himself. Like, he'd pat himself on the back and say something like, yeah, way to get it in there. And I would ask him I asked him once, after a while of watching him do that, like, what is that about, man? And he responded, when you're coughing, it's like the opposite of when you're coughing because of cigarettes. When you have a smoker's cough, you're like hacking out your lung because it's all gross and nasty and dying from the tar. When you've got the cannabis cough, you're getting the healing nutrients, CBDs and THCs, from the cannabis smoke deeper in your lungs, which is helping to push out and clean all the gross, nasty shit. So that cough is like healing. It's the healing cough. Of course, I am severely paraphrasing him, and he was, at the time of that conversation, we were both extremely high. But I digress. A little bonus material for the next Cannabis Talk episode. Okay. And now for the outro.
Welcome back. On the other side of that trippy track. From the file of I forgot I did this yesterday. Here's the thing I threw out there into the interwebs and I got a call back. Someone really trying to engage. And I think I have permission. I think he knows what I'm doing in terms of this sort of thing. And I summarize / sometimes quote to you from my social media wall. I wish it said 420 right there on it, just magically. It doesn't. It's from noon. I can't believe I posted this, and I can't believe that I'm reading this in my podcast, but I believe it's kind of real, and I believe it's kind of worth saying. Whatever, because I almost kind of can't believe that there are. Let's pause for a hot second. This is a show about cannabis. We're all peace-loving, groovy hippies, I think, right? How much do we have in common, everybody who smokes weed? How many stoners have ever asked themselves that about other stoners? Like, how crazy are the other stoners that I don't realize it? Like, what are they into? What am I into? What are you about? Who knows? You could trip yourself into paranoia about just humanity at large. But it astounds me that people are foaming at the mouth for civil war. And if that isn't, excuse me, and I hate to put it in these terms, and I'm not trying to be rude, but if being tricked into a civil war isn't the most sort of, that should be red flags all over the place. You don't really want to get tricked into doing that kind of conspiracy theory of let's not let them do that to us. Instead of people being like ready and speculating that that's probably what's going to happen openly in a creepy ass. Maybe they're trying to be intimidating. Maybe they're just trying to be raw. I don't know what kind of way, but it's all over the place. At least it's trending on my stream. If you don't hear people speaking like that about Trumptopia specifically, I don't know about what other countries are going through the same growing pains. It's probably more than a dozen, right? Who knows? But in my echo chamber, here in the golden shores of the great Orange Empire, and I'm like, dear everyone who was openly discussing potential, quote, civil war, close quote, dash, as in like, attention, please consider this. That's what a dash means. Like, stop. The sentence builds to please take a moment. The system of oppression, all caps, wants us to choose violence against each other, exclamation point. It was, all caps ended at once. The whole sentence was in all caps. I'm not that rude with my all caps usage. The system of oppression is operated by war profiteers. 3 exclamation points. Let that sink in. ... Who sold all the would-be participants of the Civil War the guns and ammo that they would use to shoot their fellow citizens, comma, former friends, comma, and neighbors with 3 question marks. The gun industry, comma, which is, comma, spiritually speaking, comma, a wholly owned subsidiary of the military industrial complex, which is, of course, the core of the system of oppression. 4 exclamation points. The all caps real, and all caps, revolution is a capital S, spiritual, capital H, healing, capital R, revolution, exclamation point. Heal yourself. Heal each other. Heal the all caps entire and all caps capital H human capital S species. Why did I dictate it so specifically? Just for the sheer absurdity of doing so and clarity of image. Someone with whom I've had plenty of an intellectual spar, back and forth openly on each other's streams, he'll come over and tauntingly ask me silly questions. And I'll go over to his page and ask him silly questions. He basically asks, how do we heal all the things? And he starts with an example, but it's clear and it's a well thought out example. I'll give him that. How do we heal the anti-competitive practices that keep the same groups in power and keep everyone else oppressed? How do we love that out of existence when the people doing it don't seem to care about our love, our peacefulness, our vocal expressions, that they are oppressing and mass murdering us? Valid question, man. And although I didn't type any of the following, my honest response, which is going to be a podcast exclusive, is that what we cannot do, and what is, if you look back the last 5,000 years in history on any bookshelf of history, is the opposite. We have butchered ourselves and each other for the phases, the multiple phases of historical expression of some form of elite oppressing the masses. It's always been the game. It continues to happen in some sublimated and hyper-indoctrinated form, and so on and so forth. But we cannot lower ourselves to the sins of those that are committing sins against us, can we? That's like one of the most astonishingly crazy things is that we murder people who murder people. While I understand it from the sense of loss and pain and anguish and the whole romantic, charming idea of revenge, I couldn't, in good conscience, I don't know, right? That's the thing. It's a scary question, let's be honest. In terms of, every movie ever made about war, and or violence, and or death, and or murder, and or revenge about any of those things. But I digress. I really do. He goes on to, he invokes Gandhi, and he talks about that, and if it didn't, what good did it do Gandhi to be nonviolent? He does say he failed. I think he inspired a planet and a generation by generations. When has nonviolence ever succeeded? Valid point. My counterpoint is, when has violence ever succeeded? In that it only perpetuates more violence because it traumatizes more people. When you butcher someone else's loss is caused, and you perpetuate the cycle. And you can't go anywhere with that. And what I wrote back next is that I just quoted myself from the original post, which is the last sentence. Quote, the all caps real, capital R, revolution is a capital S, spiritual healing revolution. Heal yourself. Heal each other. Heal the entire human species. And then to be a snark and rub it in, and then typed, heal yourself. It's not because I say so. It's not my teaching. It's a teaching centuries and centuries upon centuries old. And it's a challenge. And I think that it's the thing we've been gerrymandered and blindfolded into ignoring. Critically. And like a critical mass. If this were something that it was a Star Trek episode and some lame-ass newbie red shirt just chose never to do on the checklist, didn't realize that would cause the whole ship to explode backwards in time and cause everyone to live 1,000 years in another time zone before they come back, or some crazy problem, they would had said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I think. I don't know. I don't know if that analogy made sense or not. Never mind. Like this, I'm not taking credit for any of this, right? Like, this is just what it seems to me after scanning the landscape of possible answers. The system spends a lot of energy distracting us from this potential of, imagine if, not in a believing in this version of Jesus or that version of Jesus kind of way, but in a Zen Buddha believing in nothing kind of way, we achieved that which every golden one / enlightened being / prophet / transcendental one that ascended master has ever really said, which is work the steps, whatever the ingredients are, which may or may not have been lost to us to history. You can achieve this, and this transforms you and the entire species in a transformative, healing way. Or we're, I don't know. Or that whole theory is crazy, cockamamie nonsense. But it seems like the repetition throughout history and the sense that it makes in terms of its expression in cultures throughout the planet, and that there is a sort of nested, self-recursive, maximal, all-inclusive meta theory, which is like the living womb is goddess, and the living mind that creates the universe with its imagination and is also a fractal unfolding of all possible imaginable experiences of all experiences. Be grateful for whatever life experience you're currently roller coaster strapped into, and enjoy the ride to a certain extent, and work with forgiveness and work with all the other legitimate healing energy tools, and get rid of the ones that aren't, right? Because obviously, asterisks, there's been some bunkus stuff passed around. But either I'm cuckoo nuts crazy, or there's a real consistent pattern of a teaching that's been marginalized, vilified, executed, assassinated, and attempted to be removed from people's awareness, that makes sense because it's elegantly preserved enough in historical, precedents with these cultural echoes of it everywhere, which is look within to the revelation of understanding that creation is your being, and your being is creation. That creation isn't something God did forever ago, that all of it in its totality, and that we are one consciousness. And that if we do whatever, that we should make and we hear, when people go like, well, how do you do it? Okay, yes, of course, I'm being redundant and I'm being a bit Zenist here. We must build a science. Here's what I haven't written, which I really should. Can I get a word? Like, no, there's no, like, I can do it on my phone. Hang on. Doing a new live, no, it's not on. Never mind. Next episode, next podcast, we'll do it. I'll get on Facebook on my phone, and I'll dictate the thing live. I won't be able to rewrite it, reconstruct it later. But it doesn't matter. We need to build a science of this, right? And investigate it and treat it seriously instead of throw it baby in the bathwater out with any ignorance-based ego trap lure of neglecting our own responsibility to heal the spiritual traumas that can be perceived resonating throughout the species. if we step into a metaphysical, metacognitive awareness of each other vis-a-vis the things that seem to add up to some basic spirit network of all of our souls being busy being each other and emanating from the root source of oneness, right? Which is the flame at the center of the heart that is the beating life of all life in a sort of fractal recursion, self-referential, infinite merry-go-round of mirrors kind of way. If that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I don't know what to tell you. Except that this show's been going on for way too long. And I gotta rest my voice, and you gotta rest your ear holes. So tune in for more, friends, while I find you one last little track that ain't too long. Let's go with this one from July 11th, 2020 at 12:34 a.m. on this device. A little ditty. I hope I haven't just played this very recently and it's like an offense to the listeners. I don't have a way of sorting this. I got to figure that out, making a schedule, bundling them in bundles. I don't know. So, for your listening pleasure, Wood 101 Remix Cutting Chords by DJ Z, Next Level, Volume 1. Namaste. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out, friends.